Hang about, mate. Oh.
Well, hello. Another episode of Crashing In Podcast. Hope you all enjoyed last week's episode with the Wolves legend, reggae musician, Macka B. And if you haven't watched that yet, please go back to that episode and watch it. Give it a like and give it a share if you can. But today I'm with a very special guest, an indie pop singer-songwriter named Izzii Grace. And she's an amazing musician. She does downbeat music, and it's very laid back and chill type music to listen to. I really like it, and if it wasn't for Eliza May for commenting in my post and suggesting her to be a future guest, I think I wouldn't have discovered her. And I'm glad Eliza May has put her forward to me, because I love her music and been playing it on the radio quite a lot recently. It's going well with the guests so far, and I'm going to talk a bit more about future guests later on. And yeah, so I hope you all enjoy today's episode, and this is the interview with Izzii Grace.
Wish I had more time with you. I wish we could do what you wanted to. I've got all these things I don't wanted to say. I wanted to show you all of these things you would have loved to. But I really miss the way you say my name. But I hope you're proud of me, and oh my God, I hope you're happy. But I wish you could see all the stupid shit I've done and all the stuff I've overcome. But I hope you're proud of me. Oh my God, I hope you're happy. But I wish you could see all the stupid shit I've done and all the stuff I've overcome. Just hanging out, you always wanted to talk about the girl from work you were trying to date, even though you knew she was straight. But I really miss the way you say my name. But I hope you're proud of me, and oh my God, I hope you're happy. But I wish you could see all the stupid shit I've done and all the stuff I've overcome. But I hope you're proud of me. Oh my God, I hope you're happy. But I wish you could see all the stupid shit I've done and all the stuff I've overcome. I miss those days we were sat in the park getting drunk till it was almost dark. You always had to walk me home, then I call you up 'cause you're walking alone. Now I'm sat here alone in the park, just getting drunk till it's almost dark, wondering what you talk about. Lay with me here, spotting shapes in the clouds. But I hope you're proud of me. Oh my God, I hope you're happy. But I wish you could see all the stupid shit I've done and all the stuff I've overcome. But I hope you're proud of me. Oh my God, I hope you're happy. But I wish you could see all the stupid shit I've done and all the stuff I've overcome.
was I Wish by Izzii Grace, and that can be accessed on Spotify and YouTube. So now I am doing the interview with Izzii Grace, and she pre-recorded the answers. So now I'm going to ask the questions as normal, and her pre-recorded answer will come up. So, how did you get into music?
Okay, so how I got into music was pretty much through my mum. I have been doing music pretty much my entire life at this point. I started when I was 9. I used to have like singing lessons. I would go to this lady at my church to one of like the tiny little singing music rooms with a piano. I'd take £3 with me, and I would sing little scales and tongue twisters and a few like classical pieces and a few songs from church, and that's pretty much how it all started. I'd also have piano lessons with my grandma, and I got a little bit into guitar. Wasn't very good though. I used to do like the guitar club at primary school, and all I remember was, "Oh, I like your guitar, Izzii." And that's it. That's the only compliment I ever got. I think I kind of pretended to play the songs whenever we did performances. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into music.
So, what music was you into?
So the music I was into, the music I'm into is pretty much all over the place. But when I was growing up, I was very much into what like my dad listened to, or like my older sister. There's a few songs that have really like stuck with me. So there's oh gosh, The Tide is High, that song. That is ingrained into my brain. I remember like listening to that a lot and singing it apparently. But my dad listens to a lot of Shania Twain, ABBA, Blondie, lots of songs that auto harps in, kind of folk style songs as well. So a lot of that music is what I grew up on, and I love it. I still listen to it. It's brilliant. My dad's really into music, like just listening and discovering new stuff. He's recently got into K-pop, so this man has exquisite music taste. It is all over the place though. But I was obsessed with like 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, and then there was this one song, I think it was One Way or Another. No, it was Stuck in the Middle with You. I don't know the name of the song, if that's the name of the song. But it was on this cassette tape that had a load of Christmas songs, and then it just had that song. So I'd literally skip through all the Christmas songs and then listen to it and then do the same again. I just remember sitting in my room doing that on loop. I was obsessed with that song. It was a brilliant track.
Would you say the music you listened to in the past motivated you into writing your own music?
So I don't think the music I listened to directly motivated me into writing my own material, but I'd say it had a massive part. Like the artists that I listened to were all mostly women actually, like a lot of female artists I grew up on. Like Shania Twain was a massive influence. And I remember singing in like a little girl group I joined at primary school. We used to sing little covers of stuff, and I got told I had a country voice, and I found that mildly offensive. And now looking back at it, it wasn't that rude. It was quite a compliment, I think. I guess I just wanted to be like one of the pop gals, you know. But I wouldn't say they directly influenced me or like motivated me into writing like my own music. I don't really know how that happened. I remember like one time in secondary school, a friend wrote some lyrics, and she was like, "Oh, can you sing this?" And I made up a melody to it. And I think that's been like a huge part of it, that I really am very good at creating melodies to lyrics. Like you could write something and I could probably come up with like 5 different melody ideas for it. Probably more, but I don't want to brag that much.
Would you say the music you listen to inspire what you play now?
So the music I listened to definitely didn't inspire what I play now. But it definitely inspired me in a way to create music, I think. But I still don't know how I started. I didn't really think I'd make it this far, so I guess I didn't really clock any like transition period. But the music I listen to now definitely inspires a lot of what I write. I like the more creative side of it, like the production side, being able to create different sounds and really play around with different things and making my vocals do something different, or like reversing them, slowing them down, using my vocals to create like what's the word, like instrumental parts. Why did that leave my brain? I don't know. But I don't think like the music I grew up on inspired my sound. I think it did briefly, because I used to write on guitar and I used to write these like acoustic tracks. I remember there's one on my SoundCloud. I think it's on my personal one, so it's private, but maybe one day I'll share it. But I wrote a song on guitar that was like called I Hate Everyone But I Don't Hate You. Genius title, let's not lie. But yeah, I used to write on guitar, so I think maybe I had a little bit of like a country style originally, but I've taken it in a completely different direction now. I do not write country music. I've thought about diving back into it, but I feel like that would be a bold move.
Before being a singer-songwriter, was you in a band or doing anything musical before this?
I actually wasn't in a band before becoming a singer-songwriter. I've pretty much been very independent. I think partly out of like pride and also like self-doubt. I know that sounds really kind of stupid to have like pride and self-doubt in the same sentence, but like I have such a thing of being able to do everything myself in general. But also like I guess I never really invited people along like to work with me originally when I was like starting out with music, because I kind of thought maybe I wasn't good enough to have like other people involved, and that they would like join and be like, oh my god, what the hell are you doing, this is awful. But I did loads of musical stuff beforehand, like being a singer-songwriter, like labelling it. So I used to do musical theatre, I used to sing, like do singing lessons, and I would do like grade singing, and I sang like opera and lots of classical stuff, and I obviously did piano lessons. So my life kind of revolved around music and being musical, but I never really saw myself as a singer-songwriter until pretty much like end of secondary school into college, when I used to do like performances at school. Even then I didn't really see it as a thing. I sort of just like, well, I like to sing, so I'm going to perform. I never really saw it as something that like had a purpose or a goal. Basically my life is just winging it, really.
So let's talk about your music and what inspires your lyrics.
This is going to sound super cliche. So when it comes to my music and lyrics, I've gone through different stages with my lyric writing, and I write kind of differently depending on what instrument I've used. So when I first started writing, I used to love guitar, and when I used guitar, I guess it was more like indie inspired lyrics, like very, very detailed, a lot more going on. But suddenly when I wrote on keys, I got a lot more simplified, very basic. Like I've been told my lyric writing is really good, but every time I listen to a song that I've written on keys beforehand, I listen to it and I think I was a little bit lost. I wanted to say so much, but I simplified it in the fear of saying what I wanted to say, I guess. But like what mostly inspires my lyrics is personal experiences and mental health. They tend to be my key things, and then I like to have the like funny side of it, which is my lack of love life. That tends to play a part. I don't really write love songs in a sense of being in love. I write love song inspired by the like idea of being in love, or the idea of being loved, or bad experiences of love, and like the mental health, because like what inspires that side of the mental health lyrics is the fact that a lot of the time we grow up alone. Like we have people around us, but there isn't many people we can express this side of things to. So we delve into different areas to explore this and find ways to get through stuff. And I found for me, music is quite a huge part of that. I will listen to a song on repeat if I find at least one lyric that I really relate to. That's what I do. So I feel like I find myself writing songs that people can do the same with. A lot of the songs that I write have such a personal touch that I hope that someone can listen to it and go, that's exactly me. I completely get it. Like my song Somebody Else is all about body image, and how I found myself looking at myself as a person. Like the opening line is like, you see this picture of your body from before, and it's like, yep, I want to look like that again because I can't be loved how I look now. It all intertwines. It's mental health, love, self-love, physical love, friendship love. It's all of that. Like it tends to be a very real base for my inspiration.
So, let's talk about your debut EP that came out last year. Just So Unluckily Me. What was the inspiration behind that? And what was it like recording?
Oh my gosh. The fact that you said that my debut? I've never actually said debut. Debut, is that right? One of them's right. My EP came out last year in August. Is crazy to me because that was like over a year in the making. I had somebody else for quite a while, and then I was going to release it separately, and then I just kind of wrote all these songs that kind of like fitted together with the theme of like my life. The inspiration behind that is pretty much being so unlucky and trying to navigate my way through life and through different things. So you've got like All About You, which is accidentally like about love. It wasn't meant to be. It's more meant to be about like situations where it's like, this is so bad, but I'm just going to try and enjoy the moment. Like the whole chorus is pretty much forgetting about the negativity and like the bad parts of your life just briefly for like 3.5 minutes, when you can listen to something and feel kind of free. And then you have Nice Guys on there, which is evidently about dating. My dating life is a roller coaster, and it brings a lot of comic relief for everyone I'm with. So I wrote this song pretty much about a guy I was seeing and how everything was fine. He was like, oh yeah, I told all my friends about you. I can't wait to see you again. And then he kind of just like faded into the distance. But I take you on the journey of how I started off being like deeply falling for this man to realising like it's not my fault that things went wrong. Like I have so many, like there's so many pros and cons to dating, but the pro in my situation was like, this doesn't take away from me. Like I don't lose any of myself because of this man. I'm still incredible, which sounds very self-obsessed, but I feel like we need to be sometimes, you know? But yeah, that whole EP was pretty much the downfalls and the moments in my life where I realised that I'm just a little bit unlucky, but I'm trying to take it as it's a sign from the universe, right? And recording it, oh my gosh, recording this EP was, it was a journey. So I moved home during lockdown, back with my family, and was like, I have nowhere to record. I share a room with my sister. So me and her, I can't really spend like 7 hours in the day in my room recording because she'd have nowhere to go. So my dad took this tiny section of our cellar. Cellar makes it sound really, really fancy, but it's just like an extra level of storage. This tiny section, put a desk there and set it up so I could put my music gear down there. And I basically spent most of lockdown hiding in my cellar, barely eating, drinking, because I have no self-control. Once I'm fixated on this, I'm fixated, I'm stuck forever. And I would sit, record, write everything down there for like days on end, and I'd produce down there. I pretty much hid away and became like a recluse for a very, very long time. But it was so worth it. It was so worth it because I put like my heart and soul into it, because I found that like I didn't realise I could produce as much as I could. I really enjoyed it at uni when I was learning, but I always had this image in my head that I wasn't skilled enough for it. What we've learnt today is Izzii has a lot of self-doubt. That's what I've realised. But I managed to get through it. It was a roller coaster. It was intense. But it was so worth it.
Oh, why did you choose the names Just So Unluckily Me?
I think I kind of touched on this in the last one, but the name Just So Unluckily Me is pretty much just summarises the misfortune of the things that happen in my life, and there's plenty more to come, to be honest. I live off like self-deprecating humour, so I thought the kind of sarcastic EP title was very me. Like, it was going to be Just So Luckily Me, to be really sarcastic, but I like the unluckily. I was drawn more to that one, but yeah, pretty much it was inspired by my misfortune.
Is there anything else in the making?
So I have more songs coming your way this year, hopefully. We haven't started recording yet because my life is very busy. I do have a job outside of music, which is very stressful. and takes up a lot of my time, which is very, very upsetting. But I have songs written, band sound to come with, and hopefully in the next few months it'll be recording and putting them all together to be released. It will be a little while before I have anything put out there, but I have a new sound, a new style, and it feels very more me. So keep your eyes and ears and your social media at the ready, because there will be more music coming out, hopefully this year. But am I optimistic? Always.
I know you can get your music on Spotify and YouTube and like whatever other format you can get your music on, like SoundCloud and that. But can you get hard copies of your music, like CD or vinyl?
So you can't get any of my music in like a physical copy at the minute. I've never really thought about doing like CDs and stuff, because personally I'm not a CD user. I am a hardcore music streamer. I don't know what it is. I like the idea of vinyl. I love the idea of the cassette tape, because I think I used so many and like listened to cassette when I grew up. Like I listen to CDs, but I don't have the same like personal attachment to it. And vinyl I just think is really, really, really cool. That's the oh my god, what's the word? Gen Z in me. Is it Gen Z? Millennial. One of them. I don't really understand that, which makes me sound even more like a millennial. Oh my god. But yeah, nothing physical as of yet when it comes to like my actual music.
Whilst we're on the subject of like buying hard copies of music and stuff like that, have you got any merchandise or like a website where you can get your merchandise?
Oh my gosh, so merchandise. I have like a few tees and stuff, like I've designed a few different ones. It's not something I like put at the forefront of everything I do. I've done a few giveaways and stuff like that. I've done prints. So I have merch, but it's a side of music that I don't really understand. Like, I guess it's more of like a business side of it. And I'm there like, I have merch. And people are like, we've seen it. But anyways, and I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, I have t-shirts and stuff that are like linked with things I've released. So I did Just So Unluckily Me range of t-shirts, and I did a giveaway of a limited edition t-shirt, and I'm obsessed with it to the point that I probably will make that something that I sell and get more of. But it's merch is a thing that's always going to be a work in progress, but something that I always try and think about and include as much of and have as an option there if people ever wanna go that way and buy some.
So now let's talk about gigs. And this is a question I always ask. And can you recall your first ever performance?
Oh my gosh, so let's talk about live music indeed. Oh my god, so I can't fully remember the first gig I've ever done. I've been gigging in a really weird way for like most of my life. So I think I said before that I started doing like classical when I was younger, and I can't really remember. So I did loads of like performances at my local church and things, and that's pretty much my first ever time performing. And I look back at it and I'm like, I'm not even sure I convinced I really wanted to do that, but I did it anyways. But I think my first ever performance must have been at school, must have been playing my guitar or piano to people at my school, and somehow I managed to get through the endless bullying from that and continue doing what I love, or establishing that I was actually able to love it despite what people were saying. Like, it wasn't even a bad thing what I did, because I feel like we should definitely be praising more people for putting themselves out there. But, you know, at school, everyone gets really funny about you kind of like trying to be a little bit different, and I was a weird kid, so that probably didn't help in the slightest. But I think my first ever gig was that, and then a bigger performance I did, I think I performed at this little festival where my family's from, like in this like tent, and that was bizarre. That was like the first time I think I performed properly to strangers. I really enjoyed it. I think I definitely prefer gigging to strangers than to, my peers or people I know. It's less daunting, I think, and also you can kind of be more yourself. You're a little bit more relaxed, which sounds really stupid now I say it out loud. But so what was it like performing live together for the first time? So, oh my gosh, so performing live for the first time with my band was bizarre, to be honest. Considering all the gigs I did last year, I had done as a solo artist with my instrumental tracks I'd made. So I create all my songs and then I would basically just remove my main vocals from them. Sometimes I messed up and left some vocals in there and I was like, oh, I can hear myself again. And you kind of just have to go with it at that point. But performing together as a band was exciting but kind of daunting, especially because I didn't know a lot of them very well. So I know my drummer, Lauren, I've known since college. I feel like I've known her forever. That's where the confusion came in. I feel like I've known her forever, but I've known her since college. We did music together. And Matt, my keyboardist, wow, I've only known him a year. Not even a year yet. I met him last year at a gig, and I think we were both almost starstruck by each other because his music's incredible. Ghost and Leviathans, if you ever want to listen. It's like hyperpop, and I remember him performing and getting off stage and being like, oh my gosh, this man's amazing, he's so talented, Jesus Christ. So I went over and spoke to him, and we were both just kind of like in our element and instantly became best friends. And then my bassist Scott, I had never met in person. The only time I met him was when we had a rehearsal. And I was there like, what if it doesn't go well? I've got to find another bassist. But so far, so good. I think he doesn't hate it, so we love that. But it was terrifying because it was these three people that didn't know each other, who I sort of brought together like, this will do, this will be fine. And it was strange, but really, really good. I had such a great time, and I think the gigs are getting better since that first one. I think they're just a little bit stronger. Now we have Neve, an insanely talented guitarist. Artist in general, she's so talented as well. Pretty much all of them are so good, and I'm so happy to have them in my band. I think that makes it so much better to perform live with them. It's strange at first, but then you're kind of like, we're all in it together, and we all love what we can do. Love what we can all do. I can't talk. That is my biggest downfall right now.
So what was your nerves like at your first ever gig?
So my nerves. So my nerves have been quite bad years and years ago. Like when I first started performing, I was terrified. But I think what I found is my nerves come out when I think I don't know what I'm doing, or if I'm not prepared enough. When I feel like I'm prepared enough, I'm not that nervous. But like beforehand, especially when I did like classical pieces, I was bricking it. Like you could build a little village with the amount of times my nerves were going. So it was ridiculous. I was so bad, and I'd feel really nauseous, and I wouldn't talk or anything. I'd go up there, especially because it was a kind of professional environment. I'd go up and be like, I'm singing this song. And then I would belt it out. And my dad has always said I'm the sort of person, me and my older sister are very similar like this. We act like we don't know what we're doing, and then it goes fine anyways. So I think I've kind of taken that on board, like, since my first few gigs, where I used to get really, really nervous.
So what are your nerves like now?
So my nerves now are less bad. I think, I've taken on the mindset of the whole, well, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. If it goes well, it goes well. And I've kind of incorporated my chaotic personality into my gigs. So if something goes wrong, I just make a joke out of it. So like the first time I performed in London, it was this silent gig. So everyone had headphones. People walking past could hear you sing, but they couldn't hear anything else. And my first track, it was going really, really well. And then the last chorus just disappeared and it went straight into the next song. So I made a joke out of it because I thought it was hilarious. I was like, well, I didn't like that chorus anyway, so we didn't want to hear it, so we moved on. And I talked a little bit about the next song in like the brief 10 seconds I had before the vocals came in. But that was funny. I thought that was hilarious. And now I've kind of got a little bit more confident that I can incorporate like my humour into my sets. And that kind of dims the nerves, because I can basically get on stage and go, right now, I'm insanely nervous. So if this goes wrong, we'll blame that, right? Like, I'm very honest, and I think that just hopefully is part of the charm, or it's either very annoying, but you win some, you lose some. So don't hate the player, hate the game. But yeah, I definitely think my nerves have gotten a lot better, and I'm a lot more relaxed when it comes to performing. I'm never too sort of fussed about what happens now. It's kind of like, not everyone has great performances, so I might as well live on the edge and see how it goes.
So, have you got any upcoming gigs?
So gigs in 2022 have been actually quite ongoing, which is not the plan. I really thought I was going to do like 2 gigs and then I was able to record more music when I had time, but it's kind of gone gig, and then I've got a gig even later in the year. I haven't announced yet because I only just confirmed it like a few days ago, but I've had some really, really cool gigs I've done. One of my favourite gigs I've got coming up though is a supporting slot for this band called Moat. You know what? I've never said the name out loud, and my dyslexia does not allow me to understand letters and how they sound. So if that's wrong, I'm really, really sorry. It's MOTE, and they're doing a tour across the UK, and I'm very, very excited to be one of their support slots for the London show. That's really, really cool. And I've got like a nice little acoustic gig coming up in April as well. So I've got the band gig supporting slot on the 17th, and then like a few days before on the 14th I have an acoustic slot with Hot Fox, and that's really nice. I don't get to do many acoustic gigs. I really enjoy being able to like take my songs and really like simplify them and really strip it back, so I feel like you get a bit more emotion when you have like an acoustic set. So I'm really, really excited for that. And I literally earlier this year I had my first ever headlining gig, so gigs are all over the place for me at the minute and I'm loving it. I just think it's so nice to be performing and doing what I love doing and chatting rubbish to strangers in a room.
So, what is it you love most about gigs?
Honestly, it's going to sound really strange that I love the most about gigs is the talking. Like, I love singing and performing, but I guess I've been doing it for so long that I know it's not something that I'm bad at or like struggle with. It's just something that almost comes naturally to me. But whenever I've performed before, I've been really scared of like talking and being myself and sort of like giving a little bit more of me to the audience. Like, I've done years of gigs where I've just been like, this is another song. This is another song. This is another song. Oh, by the way, this song is another song. Like, it's just basically been like that. Whereas now I get really excited about the fact that I can sort of go up there, almost do like little interjections of stand up and intertwine that with my music, because it's very me. I'm very like on the spot, chatting absolute rubbish and hoping people laugh is pretty much my favourite thing about any gig. And then it's also like the little moments with my band I think I love, like seeing them have that moment where like, that was good. Oh, that was good. We got a few breaks in the songs, and my drummer Lauren, she absolutely loves breaks, and I can just feel her being like yes every time we have one. So that's really, really nice. I just think it's my favourite thing is being able to chat a load of rubbish and making people laugh, or forcing them to laugh because it's too uncomfortable not to laugh, and also just being around my band and having like such a good evening no matter what happens.
So, have you had any cool supports?
I've done a few like supporting gigs, but not like directly a lot of the time. So a lot of the gigs I've done, they're more like what I've described as like showcases, where it's just a lineup of artists and bands, and you just hope enough people come along that don't know you to then like appreciate and see and like listen to your music. But I did one gig, my first ever gig with Live a Little Louder. They're the guys who put on my headlining show. They did a gig ages ago. My first ever gig, like that was actually a supporting slot kind of style for this band called Della B, and they were amazing. It was probably one of my favourite ones I've done. I just thought it was such a like nice atmosphere, even though I was on first and like 2 people I knew turned up, and being like the first on is always like daunting, but then also it's so much harder to sort of get people to come out. I find it harder to get people to come to gigs that are not your gig. I know that sounds really stupid, but like they are my gig, but like there's a headlining slot, it's someone you're supporting. It's so hard to be like, oh, come to watch me play, and also come see this really cool band that I'm supporting. Like, people find it, I feel like that's a really hard one to like navigate and get people to come along to, because I feel like they don't see it as a gig for you. They see it as them spending money on a band they don't know, but like, you might like them. Probably if I'm performing with them and you like my music, you'll probably enjoy them. So you're in the right place, really. And half the time, who doesn't want to discover new music? But that's just a personal love of mine. But I think my favourite one was, supporting Della B. I just think that was such a nice night, and they covered ABBA, and I just had a great time. I made some really like cool friends and got to perform, and what more can you want? What more could you want? I also thought I would just add, I did do a really cool online gig. So during lockdown, I did quite a few random online gigs, and they were really good. I was in one for a company collective called Not Your Babe, and the headlining support on the day that I was on was Girly, and Girly, that's insane to me, to be honest. I kind of forgot because it's so surreal, but she's so good and so talented, and I'm honestly shocked I was on the same lineup as her, just even in the same thing as, incredible. It was amazing. I can't believe it happened.
So, we're getting towards the end of the podcast, and just wondering if you got anything else to add, and also just wondering if you got any recommended musicians.
So I don't think there's anything I would like to add. I've really enjoyed these questions. They're really, really good. But I have got some recommendations for upcoming independent bands and artists, so I hope you're ready. Like, these are good. So obviously I'm going to have to mention my absolute favourite, Eliza May. She's so talented. I adore her. Everything she does is absolutely incredible. I'm obsessed. Then we have my guitarist, Neve. She writes her own music as well and has her own band. She is so, so talented, and the music is so smooth and just so nice to listen to. It's summer. It feels like summer when I listen to it. And then my bassist has a band, and they're really good. I'm just surrounded by so much talent. They're called Deaf Pony. I don't know if you've heard of them. They are quite big and so good. They just released a single called Tattoos, and that's so good. Just everything they do is amazing. And then I've got my keyboardist, keys player, Matthew, who is Ghost and Leviathans, and I did take a while to learn how to pronounce that because those letters just mess with my head. But it's like electro pop, hyper pop, so very different to everyone else's, but still so good, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. So yeah, they're my favourites at the minute. Like, they're my top recommendations. Yes, I am just bragging about my band and how talented they are, and just throwing in Eliza there for a little bit of a, I'm not just obsessed with who I know who play my band. But yeah, they're definitely my top recommendations at the moment. But I have so many band recommendations in general. Like, I just love music. I think it's one of the best things in the world.
Oh, before you go, have you got anything inspiring you'd like to say to the people that are listening?
So, something inspiring. Now I've been put on the spot, and I'm all here like, I'm here to inspire others. And I can't think of anything. Apart from, eat your vegetables, brush your teeth, take your vitamins, drink water, just life advice for everyone, especially myself. But I think one thing I'd like to say to literally anyone I meet is, like, be yourself. I know that sounds really stupid, and that's really, like, a watered down version of, like, any inspirational thing. But it's more like, I feel like we live our lives so much creating ourselves in the image of what people see us as, and we lose track of who we are. And all my main thing in life is to try and find who I really am and find what brings me the most joy and happiness. And being a copy of like all the people I know has never brought me any joy. It's probably brought me more stress, because I'm like, oh my god, they're not going to like it if I do this, they're not going to like it if I do this, but like I like it that I do this. So I think don't live in a copy of like everyone you know just to please others. Make your brain the safest place, because that's where you're going to live for the rest of your life. No one has to experience what's going up there apart from you. So make it the best and comfiest place to live. And also just appreciate yourself. Like, what's not to love about you? There's absolutely no reason to not give yourself any self-love, self-care, self-support. Be your biggest hype man, because at the end of the day, you have to be your number one fan. So yeah, thank you so much for having me and listening to me ramble. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Look after yourselves.
That was an amazing inspiration quote. Izzii Grace, I really appreciate you talking about self-love and stuff like that. And it's so right that you should always appreciate yourself and be who you are. And also loved the interview. Thanks for joining me, and I will share more of your stuff when it comes to upcoming gigs and music and so on. Really found it interesting talking, and yeah, and I hope you stay safe and take care of yourself, and good luck with future gigs. And also I found it really interesting, like when not many musicians say this, but they say like they started music by like performing at church or something like that. And that was the same with me, when it comes to playing music, because I used to play guitar and all that, and well, I still do now, but like how I started playing guitar and stuff like that was like just throughout the church and that. And it's nice to hear that someone else done something throughout the church as well. Like it's nice to relate to someone on that in that way. Hope you all enjoyed that podcast. I certainly enjoyed the podcast, and I hope you all get listening to Izzii Grace. She's on Spotify and YouTube, and I'll show the links for her music and so on, merch I guess, will be on her bio on Instagram. And yeah, so go check her out and share her music and give her all the support she deserves. So it's near the end of the podcast, and just want to say thank you so much for listening. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're listeners that only just listened because Izzii Grace was on and you liked what you heard, we've got many great future guests along the lines of indie pop singer-songwriters, bands, psychedelic bands, and all sorts. We have loads of music, we have reggae and everything. So like, stay tuned for future episodes. So the next guest to join me on Crashing In Podcast is Cecilia, out of the band Al Doom and the Far East, a band from Italy, and it's absolutely great. They're a band that have the music is combined with jazz and sock, and the two genres I absolutely love. I discovered them in the Shindig magazine and listened to them, and they were amazing. And they got an EP that just recently came out, and it's called Freaky People, so give it a listen. Take care everyone, and see you all later.